You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. We watch a thing. We watch a thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing. How you doing, mate? What are you sipping on there? You've got
a martini. Do you not even know me?
But do you have olives and a pickle in that?
No, olives and a sliver of lemon rind.
So you've gone olives and a twist.
Hey,
good lord!
You know how I do.
I'm gonna have to offer that up to Noosk sometime. Martini is her drink of choice.
I know, and you shortchange her with your cheap ass fucking vermouth and whatever crap you get it over the line with.
But we're not here to talk about martinis this week, are we, mate? This week we're here to talk about The Accountant 2.
Yeah.
Stylized as The Accountant Squared is what it says on Wikipedia. A 2025 American action thriller film directed by Gavin O'Connor and written by Bill Dubuque. It's the sequel to The Accountant from 2016, almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
This one stars...
He had to go and Batfleck for a while, I suppose.
Yeah. This one, of course, stars Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, Cynthia Addai-Robinson, and J.K. Simmons, as well as Daniela Pineda joining, not from the first film.
Sadly, no Anna Kendrick to be seen.
No Anna Kendrick
although
at
apparently
all.
Coming back for a third, if it happens.
Really? Because she's not even mentioned in this film. There's not even like a throwaway line explaining where she is.
She was never in this one. But I did see... not even a full interview, but there was some comment from Gavin O'Connor that they did intend, if a third film and a fourth film eventuate, that her character would make an appearance in those.
Can we be real? This isn't getting a third film.
Wow! All right, cards being shown.
Let's get into it then. So, what is it about, mate?
It is about eponymous accountant, although he's not doing a whole lot of accounting in this one.
Zero accounting.
Played by Affleck. His brother pops up, John Bernthal, and he is doing some killing and shit. Look, this is not as good as the first one.
Oh no! And it's also
any stretch of the
also a
imagination.
very, very, very different film. This is nowhere. Yeah. It's not even in the same genre.
It's really weird. I'm going to jump straight to it. My biggest issue with this is in Affleck's performance.
Yeah, really.
He is not good in this film. The film, there are a lot of positives. I did enjoy the film. I don't want to like completely blow it out of the water.
Yeah,
but his portrayal in this has very little in common. This is a different character than his portrayal in the first film.
Yeah, I don't think that's on him though. I think it's on the screenplay.
No, 100% it's on him.
No, this movie's not even
adopting
in the same...
a fucking a voice and almost accent that is absent from the first film. That is entirely his choice.
I could honestly not tell you because I have such little memory of the first film. I remember I enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm very fond of the first one. I think it's a very good film.
I saw it twice. My memory is I enjoyed it a lot. Watching this film, I'm like, oh, John Bernthal. And then Noosk was going to say he was in the first one too, I think. And I was like, oh, was he?
The entire final, like, massive...
I have very little... I remember the ending of that film was, I think him and Anna Kendrick were in his, like, caravan thing with a bunch of artwork in the back, driving off into the sunset.
No, there's a massive fucking gunfight with him and Bernthal, and they have a whole thing together.
I don't know what to tell you, Dave. Honestly, I forgot J.K. Simmons was in the first one.
He's fairly important, as is his protege, who is kind of taking his part because he, spoilers, doesn't make it out of the opening act.
Right. So I couldn't tell you how different his portrayal of this character is from the first film. I know it's a very different genre.
I mean, the film itself is a slightly different feel to it. It's a lot more lighthearted. It's basically a brother buddy comedy thing with him and Bernthal. There's a lot more humor in this. But
there is, and yet the story's quite grim.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah, for sure.
It's all surrounding child abduction and torture, and
Yeah. It's the and I mean, I guess it all comes down to some of the issues I had with it is that the underlying premise, as you say, is all about like they are trying to prevent, successfully, the mass murder of about 50 young children.
Yeah,
who have been tipped into a fucking open grave and are about to be machine gunned to death.
And tonally, it's bizarre because then there's some really cheesy, weird stuff in here, like
all
the orphan hackers. Every time you cut to the orphan hackers, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, it's over the shop.
It's very odd. So. Yeah, that underlying premise is obviously very serious. Child murder.
Yeah.
It's about as grim as it gets when they're trying to stop a mass murder of children.
Yes.
But this film tonally feels like it's almost Lethal Weapon. This is a buddy cop thing with brothers. Yeah. There are quips and jokes galore. We've got Affleck
and I think the chemistry between them both is
We've got
good. Yes, yeah.
like it's enjoyable, but this is a movie with multiple personality disorder. It does not know what it is. It is tonally all over the place. All of the tones are enjoyable, but they don't mesh together. They don't know what they want to be from one moment to the next. And I think largely the reason I enjoyed this film as much as I did, and overall I would say I did enjoy it, is the chemistry between Affleck and Bernthal, which I think is very strong.
Same. I would absolutely watch that again. If there's a third film, I would hope, and I don't think there's going to be. This movie hasn't set the world on fire. It's got decent but not great reviews. It didn't do great at the box office. I think it'll do better on streaming because I think
it will do very well on streaming, and I think it'll pick up some legs. And I think Affleck and Bernthal are both very fond of this. I mean, franchise is probably a bit grandiose when there's only two films, but I think they both enjoy these films and they enjoy working together from what I've seen. So once it gets a little bit of legs on streaming, I think there may be a third one. It may not be for another 10 years, but
there may be. My thoughts are if there is, it will be direct to streaming. We won't get another theatrical release.
Agreed 100% on that.
And I think that's fine. Again, I think tonally it's a bizarre movie because I would definitely describe this more as an action movie than the first film. First film, I would, from my memory, is more of a thriller. This is much more of an action.
Yeah, the first one, the action really doesn't come in until the big kind of final set piece where you get the reveal that Bernthal's the brother and so on after having sort of flashbacks to them as kids. But prior to that, it is a lot more cerebral.
And I think that's part of my problem with this is it's too long, and mostly it's the action scenes that are too long. The action scenes aren't that well shot or directed. This isn't, the kind of film where you can forgive overly long action films because they're fun to watch. The best part of this film is when Bernthal and Affleck are just sitting and talking. The action kind of gets in the way of that. The final sequence of this film just dragged on and on and on for me when they finally get to like the camp and then they're driving and this and that is just I couldn't do it.
It shouldn't be attempting to be an action film. I mean, it's not. Firstly, it's not Gavin O'Connor's strength. This is not. What's his name? Chad Stahelski or whatever. This is not his bread and butter is kind of more dramatic stuff, like what's he done, Warrior and things like that. And that's why I think the things that work in this are when the two of Bernthal and Affleck are together. And yes, this is a lot more lighthearted than Warrior, but it's that kind of brother dynamic that has quips and sort of they're teasing one another. Well, Bernthal's teasing Affleck. Affleck's not teasing anyone because he's so far down the spectrum. I'll get to that. But that brother dynamic, I think, is the heart of the movie, and that's the shit that kind of works. And if he'd lent into that more and not tried to turn this into fucking John Wick or whatever at the end, it would have been, I think, a lot stronger. And that's why I'm hoping if there is a third one, and Anna Kendrick's character comes back in, there's the potential, I think, for some really good kind of three-way dynamics between the three of them, because they're all very good actors.
Yeah.
And I think there's very good chemistry between Affleck and both of them, and I would be interested to see how that plays out if they come together in a third one.
Yeah. For me, I just think this fall, you brought up John Wick, and I think, look, I know I'm going to cop heat for this.
Not for me.
I don't like the John Wick movies. And my thing
are
is
overrated but solid. They have good action sequences because we know he's an ex-stunt guy. David Leitch, he's very good at that.
Here's
However,
my problem.
Keanu Reeves can't fucking act.
But here's my problem. We're at this. I know I cop heat for saying this all the time. They don't make movies like they used to, but they don't make action movies like they used to, because action movies used to be.
You haven't seen
fun
either Extraction
and silly.
movie. You are not qualified to make that statement.
But action
Sean
movies,
Carney will back me up. Extraction and especially Extraction 2 are phenomenal action movies. Better than any of the John Wick
action
movies.
movies used to be fun and silly, right?
They don't need to be silly. They just need to be exciting.
Yeah, action movies these days, they lean so far into grittiness. They're gritty, they're dark, it's not for me. It's not fun.
Not
It's
always.
not
You've seen Bullet
fun.
Train, yeah?
Yeah, Bullet Train was fine. It was not as fun as I was hoping it would
it's
be.
It's a fun action movie that doesn't take itself seriously.
I don't
It's
think
over
it
the top,
leans into its
but it's
premise
well
enough.
choreographed, which I don't think there are not many directors that can choreograph action well. You've got the Raid films, which obviously are extremely good if you want serious fighting action. Things like Bullet Train. David Leitch is very, very good at the fun action. But there's Strahovski's another one, but there's not that many guys working now that can do the sort of action that people are trotting out now. A lot of people attempt to do it.
Yeah, but
I could count on one hand the number of directors that can do it.
But I also think this movie is just bizarre, even in what it is. I mean, like, you think of buddy action films, right? You think of, Lethal Weapon. I'm going to cop heat for bringing this up, but Bulletproof with Sandler and Damon Wayans. They're fun movies. Their premise isn't about a group of orphans getting buried in the middle of the desert. Look, I'd put it to you that,
I mean, even Lethal Weapon, which ostensibly they're action movies, but I think at their heart, they're really more about they're buddy movies. They're about the relationship through the character. The action is incidental, and it's not particularly good when you look back at those things.
Yeah,
but they're entertaining because of the quality of the cast and the chemistry that they have with each other.
Which is the same realm that this sits in. But I think the problem with this is it gets overwhelmed by the action at points.
Yeah, it's trying to have its cake and eat it too, and I think it's not Gavin O'Connor's. Gavin O'Connor? It is Gavin O'Connor. It's not his strength. His strength is on the drama side of things, looking at his filmography. He's not an ex-stunt guy. He's not a David Leitch or a Strahovski or whatever. Action is not his strong point, so he should be leaning more into the... And he does a bit, and I think those scenes are the bits that work the best, is when you've actually got the two of them just driving in a car or doing whatever. Even, it's a bit cringy, but even when they go to the bar and the dance contest is on, and I mean, I'm a softie. I kind of had a little internal cheer when Bernthal jumped up and went, "That's my big brother!" when Affleck went into the boot scooting line dancing contest. That's I think when this film is at its best. It's not them shooting at people because the action scenes, like fucking Predator, had better action scenes than this.
And that's my problem, is that there's too much of that in this film, though.
Yeah, and it's not done particularly well. It's just there, and there's a lot of it, and it kind of by default becomes the denouement and the finale of the film, when the finale of the film should be some sort of resolution of the issues that they have between them as brothers that stem from some of the stuff in their childhood. That should have been the finale of this, not rescuing the kids. The rescuing the kids is almost it's by the by. It's serious,
Yeah.
but it's just an excuse for the two of them to come together and resolve their issues.
It's serious to a point. It's serious until they take the kid they're looking for and chuck him in fucking Xavier's school for X-Men.
All right,
That whole subplot with the kids, every time you cut to those kids hacking, I'm like, oh my God.
So, I mean, I'm assuming they're attempting to build a franchise that has this underpinning support network of Spectrum issue kids who are hacking. So the first film we had, and I think it was very cleverly done. Like, I should say, these are well written, generally speaking. Bill Dubbock, or whatever his name is a good writer. This is the guy that created Ozark. He knows how to write shit. The dialogue and stuff that he crafts is very, very good. And the first film, while significantly better than this, the first film, very cleverly, I thought, teased you with a twist that you felt clever for seeing coming, which is that John Bernthal's character is actually his brother. We see flashbacks to his kid brother. We've got Bernthal's character. It's written in such a way that it doesn't feel obvious when you think that you have seen the twist before it happens.
Yeah.
And so the twist happens, it's his brother. You feel clever, but that's not the twist. That's like a red herring twist. The actual twist is when you find out that the girl who is the severely on the spectrum girl that we see in the flashbacks is his, in Twin Peaks terms, Diane. That's his voice at the end of the thing that's helping him.
She's the Charlie to his angels.
She's exactly. And that twist, I don't anyone who says they saw that coming, I don't believe them. That's bullshit. That is, it's masterfully written. You don't see it coming, and it's a great finale on that first film. Somehow she has now become fucking Charles Xavier and has an entire new generation, an army of. I'm trying to be so sensitive, but I like
the film isn't sensitive. That's what's weird
there is
about
an
it.
army of spectrally challenged children who are all hacking geniuses. And they're operating within the same kind of like school for the, the same place where she's lived her entire life. And yet no one there who actually runs the places are aware that this is happening. They've apparently got this room full of computers somewhere.
Yeah.
And none of them know it's happening, but you have to call. This receptionist at this place must be so sick of getting calls where they ignore her and just say, I know you're listening, and then proceed to rattle off 5 minutes of exposition.
Yeah.
While this woman has not hung up, she has just gone, God, not this shit again. It's all a little bit silly.
Yeah.
And it irked me a bit, but I enjoyed the chemistry of the main character. I let it slide because I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed Affleck. I enjoyed Bernthal.
Same. I'm giving the film a pass, and I would absolutely watch a third one. I'm landing on a 6 out of 10. How are you?
It seems about right. Yeah, a strong 6. I genuinely enjoyed it, and if you've seen the first one and you enjoyed it, absolutely watch this.
Yeah.
Maybe wait for streaming. I don't know that I'd run out to cinemas. It doesn't need a big screen.
You're too late. I think it's gone in cinemas now.
but look. We probably sound more negative than we are. I think if you enjoy the first one and you like Affleck, and this is, I think, one of the more interesting things he's done in the last 10 years is this character. I don't think this is the home run the first one was in terms of portrayal of people on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, it was very highly lauded. A lot of agencies that work with people on the spectrum or autistic people, it won a bunch of awards, I believe, and it was very highly lauded for its portrayal. I don't think this is successful on that front. With my limited framework of reference, and I'm absolutely not an expert in this field, but I found this a bit more cartoonish is a little bit stronger word, but I actually can't think of another one off the top of my head.
Yeah.
This felt like someone who had watched Rain Man and was trying to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one, I think, was a very different portrayal. He was very focused on his work, and that was his kind of safety net. And you had these brief moments where you saw him in his trailer where he was genuinely struggling with sensory overload. He'd put on the heavy metal music, crank it up to 11. He had the wooden bar that he'd rub on his shins really hard. All these things to try and kind of dull the noise. And it was done, I think, very, very well. This, he puts on a weird Rain Man voice that was not present in the first one, and I found slightly off-putting. It's very Rain Man. We don't have any of that struggling with, we don't see any of that behind-the-scenes stuff of him dealing with his affliction. It's just, and that really bothered me because I think the first film did it very well, and this felt less respectful, less thought out, and more cartoonish. And that was my biggest issue with this film, is that what I thought was a home run from Affleck in terms of his performance, and he was the weakest part of this film for me. I think his performance is very, very bad.
Fair. I mean, I think Affleck could play the shark in Jaws. So but a solid but not excellent film. All right. Well, before we go, I'm just going to quickly touch on a film I saw this week, which you haven't got to, but Bring Her Back is a 2025 Australian horror film directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, who people probably remember from Talk to Me a few years ago. Stars Billy Barrett, Sarah Wong, and Sally Hawkins. Really good, really solid. I liked Talk to Me, but I think by the time I saw it, it had been way too hyped up, and I don't think that movie is as good as the hype would have you believe. I think this is a better film. It's not getting as solid reviews, but I think that this is a really good film. I think calling it horror is... I mean, it's an odd one. It lives in that odd place where really it's a psychological drama. Like most of the horror comes from
grey area in that
the drama,
particularly these days when people are everyone's trying to be A24 and do cerebral horror.
Yeah, it's a very, very grim film, and it stays grim through to the end. It doesn't hold its punches. It's all to do with children. The story is about this young blind girl and her stepbrother who move into a foster home after the death of their dad. And that's all I'm going to say. But I reckon that you would dig this movie, Dave. I reckon you should see it.
I'm definitely keen.
Yeah, I think that it's...
I will try and get to it. We've got a long weekend here in Australia, so...
Yeah.
And in, all Commonwealth countries, I guess, King's birthday. So I will... try and squeeze that in. The other one, which I'm going to mention, which I have not seen yet, but I was very intrigued and actually had tacked it onto my order for the 4K of The Fall. Because both the Tarsem Singh's The Fall and The Cell have both just had recently really good 4K releases. And peek behind the curtains, we are in conversation with Tarsem and his people to try and get him on the show. So fingers crossed that happens soon. But at the same time as ordering The Fall, which I'm going to do a totally separate thing on later about how good that 4K package is, because the extras are phenomenal. But I also picked up The Mugai, which I've been wanting to see for ages. There are very few Australian horror films, particularly Indigenous Australian horror films. This is the latest. I have not seen it yet. I am very keen and I expect very good things. So I'm going to try and watch this over the weekend, and next episode I will give a bit of a review, even though it's not at cinemas, but we don't have a lot of Australian horror films. So if we can give some love to them, even if they're streaming / physical media, I would like to do so.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here at We Watched a Thing. Next week, I think the plan is Ballerina. Is that what we're going to get to?
I know I am. Ana de Armas. I mean, my biggest issue with the John Wick films is that Keanu Reeves is a shit actor. He's a lovely human being. He's a shit actor. So if you can have a John Wick film with a good actor, I'm always on board. Hence why I love Nobody, why I love Atomic Blonde, why I love all of these things. So, and if you can replace John Wick with Ana de Armas, how can this not be an amazing film?
Nice. Well, that's next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. Go and join the Facebook listener community, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, I might try and see The Surfer as well.
Oh,
It's
yes, I am keen on that.
It's always a coin flip with Nick Cage, whether it's shit or great.
Nice.